Marshall Greenwald with Ionia, and we just launched a payment platform that's revolutionary payments for merchants that does instant funding and no fraud risk. With all the different PII that comes into a payment platform, along with all the card data, we wanted to figure out how to eliminate anything that's considered sensitive data, and even go a step further and remove all PII altogether from our platform. And that's what Spring Labs has helped us do. When looking for a system to help us remove all sensitive information from our platform, we needed somebody who could help us actually utilize the data without ever actually having the data in our systems. For example, if a customer reached out and said, hey, I have questions about a transaction, we need to be able to access that data on the fly and be able to answer their questions and provide support, but we don't want that system to ever live within our environment. So that was a big challenge in finding a solution that could do that for us. When we were first looking at Spring Labs with your TrueZero solution, the assumption that my team made was it would take a lot of engineering to implement this across our platform. And we were able to work with the Spring Labs team to start with a smaller scope where we removed all of the card data first, which was actually a big effort, probably bigger than the other areas, but the most important to us. And we're now working towards removing all PII. The actual outcomes were much easier to achieve than we thought they would be once we kind of worked through the architecture with the Spring Labs team. We were surprised that the Spring Labs team was willing to actually take on engineering efforts on our behalf. Often a platform is going to just be, take it as it is, and here's what it can do, and you kind of have those limitations. But with our relationship with Visa, we had some specific requirements for certificates and some other things that need to be passed after the data was actually tokenized. And the Spring Labs team was able to engineer that within the Spring Labs platform for us so that we didn't have to take that data back in and detokenize it in order to do that. I have for years had this concept that I kind of came up with in my own head called Al Capone's Vault. And the idea of this was that years and years, decades after Al Capone passed, there was still a vault nobody had ever accessed. And Geraldo Rivera did a large televised event. I think 150 million people watched it live, where he got the special equipment and they went into the vault, they sawed and drilled their way in, and they got in, and lo and behold, the vault was totally empty. And this is the concept I've had for a fintech platform for many, many years. And the Spring Labs TrueZero platform allowed us to actually accomplish it. And the analogy there in the fintech world is basically, I wanted to make very, very difficult for anyone to get into the system, right? Have all of your bank grade security on the outside. But if you can actually make it have no data of any value to a criminal on the inside, then it enhances all of your compliance requirements. It simplifies the whole process. Our insurance policy requirement for our sponsor bank went from a $150 million policy down to a $10 million policy requirement, which had immediate savings to us. And as a startup, that was a huge win right off the bat. I think the success metrics for us when using a platform like this is, can we fully operate our business with the outcome that we were trying to get, in this case, zero secure data within our platform. There were kind of multiple angles that we looked at for implementation, and I made the executive decision to go with the TrueZero because it allowed us to operate the business day to day without that sensitive data ever actually residing within our environment. That was critical for us, and then being able to know that the platform is going to run on a regular basis, critical for uptime. We have SLAs with our clients like Shopify and WooCommerce, so we need to have 99.9% uptime, and so Spring Labs has been able to accomplish that as well. It's a critical piece of every transaction that flows through our platform. We will definitely use the Spring Labs tokenization engine and actually embrace the full removal of PII using that data, that tokenization engine. We are also looking at some of the AI solutions, trying to figure out how they fit within our segment of as a fintech. We don't have the same regulations as a bank does, but our bank partners pass some of those obligations to us, so we may be able to leverage some of the compliance AI as well. When it comes to tokenization, should there ever be a flaw in the design, it could mean that one of two things are happening that are like worst possible outcomes for us. One would be there's an outage, right, on the side of the vendor, and so our platform is operating, but we can't process transactions. We've taken some steps to avoid that, and then of course doing regular testing and load testing, et cetera. The other would be if some data was making its way into our system without being tokenized, but I believe the architecture and design has made that impossible, but we also do audits. When we were first building it in the sandbox, we kind of iterated on the implementation. We did find that some data was being stored in our system because of the Visa integration, which you guys solved for us, so that solved that problem. But I don't know if there's other concerns I really have other than uptime. I guess speed of processing, right? There's a lot of data being passed back and forth there. So that's critical for us as well. It was super cool. The demos were definitely the highlight of the day. Hearing people talk about AI and the different challenges around it kind of set the background for seeing how these various entrepreneurs have built solutions around these things. And the use cases become really clear when you can actually visually see somebody walk through their product, see them give an example of a use case where it might not be even something exactly that you do in your business, but you can visualize how that would apply within your business. I think there were, everyone that we saw on the demo floor was really cool. I think there were probably 4 companies we'll be reaching out to after the conference to evaluate whether we can use their product within our organization. Absolutely, yes.